Hello, welcome to another episode of Physics is Easy with Mr. Jesse. This tutorial aims to solve a problem on thermal expansion. This is one of the problems I have given in WebAssign. It reads, the gap width is 1.48 centimeters when the temperature is 30 degrees Celsius. Determine the gap width when the temperature is 225 degrees Celsius. We are given the coefficient of linear expansion, and we need to express our answers to at least 3 decimal places. Now, if this is our circular steel here, the gap, this gap over here, is 1.48 centimeters at 30 degrees Celsius. And we need to know the width of the gap when we increase the temperature to 225 degrees Celsius. Now we can interpret this gap as a piece of steel with a length of 1.48 centimeters. So that's the length of the gap. Let me erase it here, put it. So that's the length of the gap. The length of the gap is 1.48 centimeters. Again, that's just a piece of steel that was actually missing. And if it's just a piece of steel with a certain length, then therefore it is capable of linear expansion. And from the problem, we have the following given. So that is, we have the initial length of that gap or the missing piece, and the initial temperature is 30 degrees Celsius. Our final temperature is 225 degrees Celsius. We have the coefficient of linear expansion, 11 times 10 to the power of negative 6 per Celsius, and we need to know the final length of this gap, or basically the final length of the missing piece of the circular steel. Once again, this missing part of the circular steel, or the gap so to speak, would undergo linear expansion, and it will be governed by this formula. Now I prefer using Li instead of Lo to signify the initial length. So I may write, you could write it this way if you're comfortable. I'm comfortable using Li instead of Lo. Now change of L is just equal to length final minus length initial, and the change in temperature could also be final temperature minus initial temperature. And we would just have to substitute our givens into the equation. So our LF is what we need to solve for. Our initial length of the gap, or the initial missing piece of the circular steel, is 1.480 centimeters. We have the coefficient of linear expansion. We also have the initial length once again, the final temperature. This is our final temperature, and this one over here is our initial temperature, 30 degrees Celsius. Manipulating this mathematical equation would allow us to solve for the length of the gap at 25 degrees Celsius, and that's equal to 1.48317 centimeters. So this will then be our final answer. Once again, we translated the gap as a piece of missing circular steel, and this missing circular steel will undergo linear expansion, and therefore we treat it using the equation for linear expansion, and therefore we have solved our problem. And that concludes this tutorial. Once again, always remember, physics is easy with Mr. Jesse.